I was a great backer of Eric Williams. I believed in independence. I had switched from federal involvement to independence completely, and following Dr. Williams, I made a fool of myself in other ways. You know, you believed everything he said, like tourism and so on. It never occurred. He was battling with too many other problems, which at the time I couldn't see. I just was besotted about the man. Everybody was. You know, the adulation was terrible. Until now we realize that he had feet of clay as well as anybody else.
But you weren't involved with things like the coat of arms or the colours of
Yes, but that was...
for independence.
Yes, that was the various ministries giving out work. They did all sorts of things. I had signed up with Margaret Weig, head of the decorations committee, the festival committee, I think it was, that I would be one of those who would give my services free. And when I was approached by the Ministry of Home Affairs, I thought that was part of it. I didn't realize it was a separate government job, so I made a fool of myself and got nothing for it. But it was the Ministry of Home Affairs. Dr. Williams asked that I design a coat of arms, and the Ministry of Home Affairs wanted me on the committee for the flag. And that is a big secret at the moment, which I'm going to let loose before I kick the bucket.
Why not do it now?
Well, I used to think that if they only knew the truth, they might decide to change the flag. And I didn't want that in my lifetime.
So what's the problem with the colours or the shape?
No, it was problems with the people who did it or took part in it. It happened that at the first meeting, we were given 3 weeks in which to do this. None of us had ever done this before. And we were given 3 weeks. The first meeting, so everybody there. I had thought it out that there must have been some reason why they chose these people. I didn't realize government always chose willy-nilly anyhow. But there were 7 names that made sense to me. So I asked the chairman that it is obvious the government had decided that these 7 people would form what you might call a design group. And they were Sybil Attek, George Bailey, Peter Bino, John Bulbrook, curator of the museum, John Newell Lewis, architect, myself and one other person I can't remember offhand, but there were 7 of us. MP Aladdin, director of culture. The meeting was to be held in my studio, fixed for midday lunchtime, so that they'd bring their sandwiches and we'll discuss. Excuse me. Right?
Yeah. All right, you're mentioning they came
Yes.
to your house.
7 formed the committee. The permanent secretary was Tom Cambridge, and his deputy was MP Aladdin. And it was arranged that they would come to my studio, which was in the middle of Frederick Street, at lunchtime, so we could dish it up quickly. We were supposed to read thousands of letters from all over the country about what people wanted. Some of them wanted 14 colors and all sorts of, everything from a banana to a piece of sugar cane on the coat of arms. Anyway, I used to read the letters at night. Terrible insomniac I was. And we'll give a report when they came. But who came? John Bulbrook, Englishman. John Newell Lewis, an Englishman. And me, a Chinese. None of the blacks or Indians came. Aladdin said, whatever you all decide, I'll go along with it. Peter Bino came on the last day and brought me something in colored crayon and said, that's all I could get my daughter to do. So LaTeX never came. She never said a word. But she attended the final meeting and objected. And Andrew Carr told her, you can't object. You're part of this group. You're supposed to know what is in it. Well, that was that, and it was sent off. But I had also written the report. Unfortunately, I don't have the full copy of the report. In that report, what is not known is I realized that there would be a struggle to persuade some of these silly people why the flag was like that. And I gave exact proportions for every color so that they couldn't switch. Then I knew sentiment had to play a part in it, and I decided what was the meaning of the three colors. I remember ringing Colin Laird and saying, what sort of color do you think represents Trinidad? And he said red. I said, that's exactly what I thought. It's like hibiscus, it's like this and that. Red seemed to be very correct to represent the country and so on. Well, of course, we had to have black in it. So I gave the explanation and had to stay away from racial connections, So red was valor and black was oil or something else like that. So, and it was accepted. But the report finished. The last two lines where it said that this shall be the unanimous decision of the committee, meaning the bigger committee. And I did it specifically so no one would say I did it. Until many years later, the taximan used to say, but Mr. Chang, didn't you design the flag and coat of arms? How Mr. Halliday could say he designed it? And very recently, earlier this year, the Bailey family are claiming that George Bailey designed it. And they are using circumstantial evidence. Who said what and who were told that he was designing. Bailey attended the first meeting and never showed up again. So how did he design it?
But you were the only, of the people who turned up at the meetings, you were the only artist, practicing artist there.
And the only one who really did all the work. The others merely came and had their sandwiches and said, okay.
So it is your design?
Yeah.
Are you,
to my shame.
well, that's what I was going to ask. Are you pleased with it?
No.
Why?
Well, I think it's a little, I'm a stickler for certain things, and it's a little bold. It should have been like, it's the Antigua flag with 2 stars on it, and that would have helped. But I hated the thought of putting stars. Why has everybody got to have stars? The Americans have copied that galore. They've put their mark on that. Until recently, I realized everybody was using stars because there isn't anything else you can do.
It's quite stark, kind of Mondrian-like.
What?
The flag.
Yes. Well, it was based on the fact that you don't deface the flag. I could have put some part of the coat of arms on it, or something representing some Trinidad connection on it, or Tobago connection, but I preferred to leave it blank. The whole idea was, none of us knew very much about heraldry in those days. We looked at every book that was available, and it was very little indeed. But if the committee had operated as I thought it should, as a permanent emblems committee, and understood how to develop out of the coat of arms and the flag declensions of design, then they would have put something on the flag which they would have done. I didn't have to decide it. That was one of the things operating in my mind. The other was, I hated the thought that we would have what was called a milk label of a flag, like Nestle's, pale blue and white and orange in Federal Times. It was so difficult to draw. I was determined that a child should be able to draw it with a ruler. And that's why the dimensions are so precise. The white is, I think, 1/6 of the black. And white and black together represent X of the full length of the flag, and so on.
And did the political powers, did they like it? Obviously they did.
They knew less than I did. They accepted it. The only problem I had with the coat of arms was I wanted an armadillo on the top of the Queen's helm. And Eric Williams felt he didn't like that. He wanted something more representative of Tobago. So he put the old Tobago palm tree on the top. So Tobago crowns the coat of arms. And the College of Heralds accepted it. In fact, they were very pleased. They didn't do any work.
Was it the same group that worked on the coat of arms?
Well, was supposed to.
So who ended up doing the coat of arms?
Me. I'm sorry.
So no other artist was really involved?
No.
And you didn't get paid a cent?
No. I ended up starving at Christmas. And I had to draw Christmas cards to save the day. I spent nights drawing Christmas cards, sold them by the dozen, in order to have money for Christmas. I didn't realize how much time had gone. I was just involved with the thing. And in fact, I have the other 3 designs that I gave them 4 designs. And the one that they chose, of course, is not there. That went up to London. And I mean, when you see that next to the actual thing, it's chalk and cheese, but the basis is there. For example, I used, for the 3 ships, a copy of the ship on the Jenner coat of arms. And I thought that was cute. And they changed it to Santa Maria. So we now have 3 Santa Marias on the coat of arms.
There's been some controversy that they never came to Trinidad, or they didn't come at the time or something.
They wouldn't. They're much too high up. I went to the College of Heralds, not realizing, of course, that I had no business there. I happened to be strolling around in St. James Palace, looking at all the wonderful names on the doors of the titled people. And suddenly there was the College of Heralds. Now, I knew the College of Heralds was supposed to have a copy of the coats of arms of the Haitian royalty at the time of Christophe. And I wanted to see it. And I thought you just, like a library, you'll go in and ask. And I went in, and it was like a court. Well, set out like a court, and then one man came in. He was rather rude. Couldn't understand what the hell I was doing inside of there, this pesky little Chinaman. And I never got to see anything, but I realized that they were far too close to the Queen to come down here and look after our coat of arms. It was sent up to them.
But the one that got accepted, are you generally pleased with that?
It looks satisfactory enough. There are some nicer coat of arms around, but it isn't too bad. It does show some of my own limitations, but I wouldn't tell anybody about that except you.
And in terms of indigenous images, you say you didn't win out on the armadillo, but you had...
I had the hummingbird, which I was determined that we should have, and it's gilded. Jamaica, unfortunately, has more prettier hummingbirds than we have. We don't mention it either. And we have the 3 ships. and we have the well, that's what the College of Heralds added. I had no supporters. They put the three heralds and a suggestion of Tobago and the two supporting birds. I went to look at the cockrico, and it's a ghastly bird. It has every color under the sun. You know, it's quite a nuisance. And I thought, well, hell, if Camaldon can eat the scarlet ibis, then the best thing you can do with your national bird is really to eat it.
So they said they needed supports, and you chose the birds. Then?
No.
They chose.
We had. I can't remember if I chose the birds, but we did choose the flower, the Chaconia. We were very proud of that because it had the Spanish connection with Don Jose Maria Chacon, who was really a very good governor, in spite of the fact that they messed him up in Spain when he went back. But he was a good man. And the flower was named after him. But within a few years, the double Chaconia emerged, and that is unique to Trinidad. The wretched Hawaiians tried to steal it, but we had it registered in Kew.